We are here at Hull, and this is stuffmc from Objective Cologne again, with a lot of lights in front of me, and with two gentlemen who are going to present themselves first of all.
Hi, I'm Damien from Conor and David.
And I'm David from Conor and David.
So you guys are responsible, among other stuff, for some of the stuff we see up there, the animation. Maybe you can tell us a little bit what you guys did?
The animation is actually all in browser, which we thought was really in fitting with what Ull is about. So it kind of sits as almost like a little app within the browser.
And how did the idea came from? I know I've heard from Paul that last year's designer kind of left them, so to say, but in good terms, and so you guys took over?
Yes, yeah. Killian McMahon was the designer last year, and for all previous Ulls, and he was actually one of the organisers. And he went to work for Kickstarter in New York, and he kind of suggested that our studio would take over from him. So he'd kind of done the kind of core Ull branding, and what we've tried to do is kind of to develop on that and build on what he'd done, which is really great. So it was kind of a nice starting point for us. So yeah, we were very grateful to Killian for that. And like I'd met Killian and Paul at Ull in 2012, so I suppose I knew what the conference was about or what was important to them. So yeah, that's kind of how it all started up for us.
So where does all those shape thingy comes from?
Well, I suppose when we presented the kind of initial designs to the Ull team, which is Paul, Sasha and Dermot, we looked at kind of using these kind of very basic kind of elemental shapes and the kind of primary colours to kind of have a kind of visual palette for what we'd use. We worked with an animator, a guy called Dave White, who goes by the name Bees and Bombs, he was a hit on Tumblr, I suppose. So I was aware of his work, his kind of what he was doing, but I didn't know that he was from Dublin until I saw an article on the Journal, which is kind of an Irish news website, that basically said, oh, this guy from Dublin is this kind of big hit on Tumblr. So we just fired him an email to see if he was interested in doing something. We had kind of ideas about what we might do with him. So basically what he did was to create little kind of scripts and processing that we can manipulate. So he's done the kind of core animation, and then we get to kind of generate the ultimate kind of thing that comes out of that. So we have kind of arranged to manipulate, to change colours, to change layouts, to kind of mess around with the forms a little bit to make the finished piece.
Aside from Ull, what are you guys doing all year long?
I think we're primarily a design studio, but we work heavily in digital as well. So I'm actually a developer. David develops as well as leads the design on the digital side. We do a lot of print as well. I think you could probably...
So print is not dead?
No, print is well and truly alive. Yeah, like I mean, we do, as Damien's saying, like we do a lot of digital work, and I suppose I spend a lot of time working as a developer as much as a designer. But like our studio also produces a lot of books, and yeah, I think actually I think what's really nice for us is that when people come to our studio looking for print, they want something special, or they want something that's unique or different. So maybe the kind of print that we don't do is dying out, because there are better digital replacements. But when people want to do something special or interesting, I think that's a good reason to work with a designer. So it's good for us.
Interesting crowd, a mix of crowd here, but what would you think ties us all together here in this crowd? There are some iOS developers, there are some Mac developers, some web developers, some not developers, designers. What do you think is the glue that takes us together?
Like, I actually think Anil Dash's talk was brilliant, because it talked about being creative and making things and being thoughtful about that. And I think that's kind of, if there's something, because Ull's very loose, and it's not just a developer conference, and it's not just a design conference, and it's not just a product conference, but there's a particular kind of, I suppose, audience that they speak to who take a more thoughtful approach and have that kind of appetite for a very kind of social engagement with other people who work in the same business, and actually to make friendships and lasting relationships that aren't just like exchanging business cards and adding people on LinkedIn. There's actually a bit more depth to it. So it's that kind of person, maybe, I suppose, is kind of an Ull attendee And then people who are interested in coming to Ireland, which I think is a big draw too, and we're in a pretty nice part of Ireland, so I think that's good too.
Yeah, it's my first time in Ireland, so it's also very interesting. But as I was mentioning earlier, I also run a conference, which is Mac and iOS conference. So it's a Coco conference. In Coco conference, it's usual to have design talks. Quite a good amount of design talks, but what's up with the rest of the world? Do you guys hear a lot of demands on like I have no idea, Android or whatever, or web conferences for speaking about design?
My only experience actually with digital conferences was the Web Summit that was on in Dublin, which there wasn't a huge amount of design featured at it. But what I would say is we have an amazing conference called Offset, which was just on just a few weeks ago actually, and it's completely concentrated on design. If I could say one thing for my own interest, I would like to see probably more digital, but that's me. I mean, but we do have all these other digital conferences anyway, but yeah.
Well, thank you guys. I think we have to stop because the music, the band starts to play. Yeah,
it's like the Oscars, we're getting the wrap up music. Yeah.
And just after the talk about Kanye West, yeah. All right, thank you guys, and see you later, and see you maybe see you in Cologne. Who knows? Yeah.
Great. Thanks a million.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
I used to have to